there's a flip side to it. The most happening concerts, the most happening New Year's Eve parties, well, guess what? You have a free ticket to them. You're in there, right? Well, everybody's clamoring outside, paying, lots and lots of money to get in. You've got a free all access pass. There's
Hi, so I'm Dominic Costabir from Hospitality Training Institute, and I'm with Rajula Gupta, a great friend of mine from childhood, literally. Uh, he runs a fantastic restaurant called Ambrosia Grill in Canada, and he's been in hospitality a lot. So I thought we should have him on the show to talk to kids about what hospitality can do for you, what careers you could build, and those of you who are already in hospitality, what are the various avenues you could look at in order to grow your career. So, hi Rajula, and
hello.
my first question, Rajula, is what is your first experience with hospitality? How old were you? What was it like?
So my first experience was I was 12 years old, and my mother's side, her father, used to run a little tea stall in Grant Road in Mumbai,
Okay.
and I would always want to go help. And so, of course, he had passed away, and my mama was running it. And I expressed an interest to go and sit on the cash counter. So, typical, tea shop in central Mumbai, just served a couple of types of tea, coffee, cold drinks, and a few snacks in the morning and evening. And I would go regularly after school because I was in school at the time in the evenings and sit on the cash counter for 2 or 3 hours every day, just because I wanted to try the experience. And it was fun interacting with so many different people. See the joy when they come, relax to have that cup of tea, maybe have some really hot bhajias which we used to serve, and that was my very first experience.
So this was when you were 12, and which year would that be?
Oh, I would think that would be roughly in early 80s. I don't
So
have the
this is
exact
much
year.
before you had your baristas and the coffee shop sitting
Oh,
in
yes,
Mumbai.
absolutely, absolutely. There were no coffee shops at that time.
So did you all have this? See, we used to go to these Iranis and just sit and chat and stuff like that.
Right.
So did you have this system where people would come in there and want to while away time and
No, so this is so Grant Road, for those who know it, is a very blue collar, working class, labor sort of location. So you would have, all kinds of people who are, working those jobs, and they just wanted to come and have a quick cup of tea so that they could take a break from whatever work they were doing, which many times was, hard physical
so
work.
so basically it's very functional in its
Yes,
output.
very functional. Come have your tea, have your bhajia, and 10-15 minutes later leave.
So you were 12 and now let's say like I mean you're okay, you're dealing with your grandpa. Did he give you any leeway to do certain things, try something out which you probably did?
Well, the most important thing for him was three. One, treat the staff with respect. B, make sure you count all the cash because I was on the cash register. So the it should all tally at the end of the day. And third, of course, smile when those customers come in. And I was fortunate growing up. I spoke a variety of languages, including Marathi, Hindi, Gujarati. So it's like talk to them in their language, greet them, and just be nice.
Okay. From there, what would you say were the life skills or anything that you picked up which has held you through your life, like any skill that you could have picked up, which you feel is holding you in stead till date?
Well, I think two skills I discovered that I really enjoyed: talking to people, which was I think which one of the most basic skills if you want to be in a hospitality career long term. You must love people, you must love wanting to talk to them. And B, as part of that experience, you also get to learn a lot, because if you smile at people and talk to them, they share their stories with you, whether it's what happened to them that very day, or an incident from their past, and you get to learn so much. And those are very impressionable conversations, especially for someone as young as me at 12. And I think that's the joy of hospitality that I've loved throughout my life.
Connecting with people.
Connecting with people, speaking to them. Yes.
Um, Post that, what was your next experience directly moving from, say, that tea stall to another hospitality experience? Because you sold computers and you also sold tea at one point.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
my next experience in hospitality was in the tea business, and I was posted, in different parts of the world. The first of which was Moscow, Russia, where I spent 2 years, and we were selling tea, to the Russians. And part of selling that experience was how better can we get our brand experience given to the people who were buying our tea. And so we created in certain parts, small towns in Russia, the equivalent of what Starbucks is to coffee. We wanted to do a little tea gathering place, and that was the next experience. So
but you all were
designing some.
selling the tea, you all were
Yes,
selling the
our
powder,
job was, yeah, the
the
leaf,
leaf.
the leaf. Yes, that was our primary job. So we worked with our distributors to help them, create a little, I don't like to use the word cafe, but for lack of a better word, something like that, but to drink, our teas.
Okay, this was across Russia, you all would set
Yeah,
it up.
across Russia in smaller
So basically,
towns.
what you were doing was helping them curate a tea drinking experience.
Correct,
So,
correct.
what were the touches you would give in?
So the most important for Russians is, unlike most of the world, they drink their tea black, just like one drinks
Okay.
coffee black. So when you are drinking black tea, you need to ensure that you have the right blends. It's flavorful, so it's a good experience. And Russians are very particular about their tea,
Okay.
and so that was our main focus. Unlike other parts of the world in cafes where you'd like some food or some snack with it, for them it was just about drinking a good cup of hot black tea. So our focus was offering a couple of different varieties of tea. So we used to have some leaf tea from Nilgiris, some strong teas from Assam, so that they could experience that difference.
So, Rajula, the whole idea of this talk show is I want to understand from you, like, do you have any regrets?
Mhm.
Okay. And I'm using the word regrets about doing anything in hospitality. Anything that you feel, okay, I shouldn't have done this, or I shouldn't have entered hospitality, maybe.
No, like I said, I've always had a passion right from the beginning of talking to people, meeting people, and that's really the core of hospitality. So no regrets, but yes, along the way, when I tried to execute some of my hospitality businesses, you make mistakes and you learn from those mistakes and you correct them to the best of your ability, and that itself is a learning experience. But I think one of the key ingredients of for anyone that wants to be in the hospitality business is you must have that inner passion of wanting to deal with people and give them a joyous sort of
Experience.
experience. And what I like to call is every hospitality experience should be a memorable one, whether it's serving a dosa on the street by with some unique preparation, or whether it's going to a small hole in the wall restaurant and eating one specific dish that they are very good at making, or whether it's going to a fine dining restaurant and wanting to have a memorable evening with whoever is your company for the evening. So that's
So,
what it's
so
really
this is
about.
what I'm hearing you say is that you got to have a passion for generally service, right? You want to serve people, make them happy.
Yeah.
What's my takeaway? I mean, I'm going to be very blunt here. I will serve people. Say, as a kid from college, I decide, okay, I'm going to get into hospitality. I'm going to serve people.
Right.
What's my takeaway? What do I get out of it?
Okay, so I would say it's more than just serving people. Okay, it's actually more about a life choice of wanting to always be surrounded with by people
Okay.
and to be interacting with them. And
Okay.
like I said, as part of that interaction, part of which actually could be service, part of it could be just public relations or just communications, or sometimes even just helping them out in a particular situation
Mm-hmm.
which may not even directly be related to what you're doing. So it's being a people's person, which actually is what drives a passion for hospitality. And as long as you enjoy doing that, if that's the kind of person you are, then you'll actually start to ignore some of the other challenges that
I'll come to
hospitality
those challenges.
presents.
First, I want to know is what would
Sure.
I get? Like,
Yeah.
let's say, for example, you are starting your career all over again and you
Right.
are getting back into hospitality.
Right.
As a kid, what would you want to get out of this whole thing that you could get out of
Sure. So I
hospitality?
think the greatest thing you can get is that learning, um, when you talk to people
Hmm.
and you hear their stories
Okay.
and you hear their experiences, that's very enriching for you as an individual.
You mean you could leverage it later on?
Uh, See, I don't think everything is about leverage. It's more about you growing as an individual, you growing as a hospitality person, which and all these interactions unconsciously help you grow as a person. They help you grow as a hospitality professional. And I think that's what really drives your passion to, it's like a hunger,
Okay.
the more you interact with people, the more you learn, the more you grow as an individual. And the more you grow as an individual, the more successful you become in the hospitality
Sort of a
business.
chain reaction.
Yes, it's a chain reaction. And that's the biggest takeaway.
What would you say is the difference? You worked in India also in hospitality and you worked abroad
Right.
in Canada.
Yes.
Plus, you have seen other countries.
Correct.
What would you say is the difference in the way we are in India in hospitality and the way you are in the West or Middle East?
So the one thing which I observe is I think in India we are spoiled because we have so much availability of labor. We are very demanding as customers. When we go for a hospitality experience, we tend to be very demanding of not just service standards but food quality, and especially in today's age where we are bombarded with so many food concepts, so many food choices. I think the Indian, hospitality customer is spoiled, and that isn't an ideal environment, because it's one thing to be demanding, but it's another thing to really enjoy that experience when you
Hmm.
go. And sometimes just the most basic of good, efficient service combined with excellent food and a smiling server creates that memorable experience. So, the main difference I've seen is the Indian consumer
Is
tends to be
demanding
much more demanding
than the Western
than
consumer.
the Western consumer. And in fact, Asia is where the focus is on food when it comes to hospitality. So you go across Asia, you stay in hotels or eat in restaurants. The focus is really about food. Whereas as you start going west, you start hitting Europe, and then you hit North America. The focus is less on the food
And more on the
and
experience, the whole
most on the
ambience and everything.
experience and the service. And that's why, surprisingly, a lot of hotels
Hmm.
in Europe and North America actually don't have food options. Some hotels may have like a breakfast experience, but unlike Asia, where every hotel, whether it's a 3, 4, or 5 star property, is anchored by a nice restaurant, if not more than one restaurant, because the emphasis is really on food.
Okay. Earlier, I stopped you when you were talking about drawbacks. I
Right.
have a reason because I understand that you are running your own restaurant there and you
Correct.
handle the entire front of this. So
Yes.
tell us a typical day, say you when you start off your evening shift or whatever it is.
Right.
Like how do you go through it till night, and what time do you finish? What time do you start?
So typically, we're a small restaurant, 28 seater, which is considered small in the West. We try to do 3 sittings to maximize the number of customers we can serve in one evening. So we have 4:30 to 6 sitting, a 6 to 7:30 sitting, and 7:30 to 9 sitting. And we believe that an hour and a half is typically what you need to provide a good service in a Greek Mediterranean place. So, the guest comes, they'll order a drink, typically a glass of wine,
Okay.
or a cider or a beer, and we take their order for an
Appetizer.
appetizer. Appetizer takes between 10 and
So
15
when you say
minutes.
we, from what I remember
Yeah.
you telling me, it's a one man show. So
So
it's you,
it's a one man show in the front,
right?
but it's we as a restaurant.
Correct. No, I
I'm
wanted the we to be taken out because in India we typically have very highly manned restaurants.
right.
So I want to
Okay.
let the kids know that when you're saying we, you mean the restaurant, and it's one person serving.
Yes. So yeah. So I typically look after the front myself. So I'm doing everything from looking at the reservation chart at the start of our evening service, uh, reserving those tables, setting the tables. So with menus, water glasses, cutlery, with any other special requests that they may have given, and
Mhm.
then as the guests come in, greet them, have them seated, present the menu, answer their questions. So suggest a drink to them, and then suggest appetizers that pair well with the drink that they've chosen, and then of course do the table service and bring in the food. We have a bell system, so when the bell rings from the kitchen, I know that the order is ready. So we use a simple system to punch in the order once we take it, and when the food is ready, we hear the bell, I go into the kitchen, bring the food out, serve it. Same exercise gets repeated for the main course order,
Mhm.
and of course in the end, we have to I mean I have to work hard to upsell the dessert. So we have some unique desserts. We import our baklava from Greece itself, and we have a couple of in-house desserts that we make. So it takes a bit of upselling, it takes a bit of suggestion, and of course one has to watch the mood of the guest. Are they full? Are they there to celebrate an occasion? What are they here? Is it like a family meal? So based on who the guest is and what their profile is, and how much of the food have they really finished, all these unconsciously go through my mind when I'm observing them eat their meal,
Mhm.
while I'm of course waiting other tables. And
So you're handling 28 cover,
yes, 28
right?
covers, yes.
And you're single
Single, I do it all by myself,
now, and you're the owner.
and I'm the owner, yes.
How much would you say would you attribute to your skills in upselling to
Right.
getting your sales up by about 10%, 5%, 20%?
Yeah, so typically I would say 20 to 25% of sales would be due to the
Upselling.
upselling efforts, whether it's suggesting a drink. So now there's a big trend in the West. People are stepping away from alcohol for a number of reasons. One, drinking driving laws are strict. Second, economy is tight. People don't want to spend so much money on alcohol, and so for us it's a challenge. And so what I need to do is upsell them a range of non-alcoholic drinks, so that they don't feel guilty about drinking and driving. At the same time,
You
they
get
get
your
a good
sales.
experience and we get the upsell. So suggest them non-alcoholic options, which a lot of them choose, and they're pleasantly surprised because we're the only restaurant offering non-alcoholic wine, non-alcoholic beer. We offer some local apple orchard fresh apple juice. We offer blueberry juice from the local blueberry farm. So we have some really good options, and 9 out of 10, they say
So
yes.
so the work is tough, I'm
Yes.
guessing,
Oh
because you would
yes.
have to walk a lot, you would have to
Oh
lift a lot.
yes, it's constant go 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 because you're constantly running in and out. You're making sure that everybody's served at the appropriate time. So it's a lot of juggling, especially because I'm doing it all by myself. So I have to really be thinking on my feet. I have to be very sharp in my observation. We have a practice where if I can see someone's finished their meal, uh, I have to clear their plate, because I would hate it myself if the plate is just sitting there and I finish my meal,
Mhm.
and no one's there to clear it. So it's a lot of things that happen simultaneously in a very fast-paced environment. So
Another area, complaints. At
Yeah,
some point you would make a mistake, at some
right.
point you would need to apologize.
Absolutely.
So tell us how you handle that.
Yeah, so we have a policy, and I use the word we because it's a restaurant policy, which I of course have to execute being in the front. So I'm very clear. Uh, I believe in the philosophy, treat people the way you wish to be treated. So if I was that guest and I was served a dish which I did not like, or there was something wrong with it, you know, what would I expect from the restaurant? I would expect A, for them to apologize. I would expect that they would clear the dish. I would expect that they would offer me an option. And at the end of the day, I would expect that they not charge me for it. And even if I offer them a replacement dish which they accept, I would still not charge them for
For
that
the
dish.
entire meal.
For not for the entire meal, for
The
that
dish.
particular
Okay,
dish.
got it.
Of course, if it goes beyond that, and we recently, had a customer. It was a mother-daughter combination. First time coming to our restaurant, they ordered an appetizer. I saw, and like I said, one observes. So I saw they were picking on it, two, three bites. I figured they didn't like it. So I went up to them. I said, did you not like it? They said, no, it's tasty, but it's not up to our expectation. So of course I apologized. I cleared the dish. I offered them an option. They said, no, we just want to try, your main course. And so I bought out the main course. They didn't like my main course,
Ouch.
yeah. So and that's perfectly fine. We cannot be everything to all customers. Food is a very individual choice. It has individual taste, and not everybody would appreciate. We serve Greek Mediterranean food, which may not be to everybody's expectation. So they said the same thing about the meal, and I didn't charge them. So in the end, they felt bad because I said, I'm really sorry that
We
our
could not meet
food,
your
yeah, we
expectations.
didn't meet your expectations, and so it's completely on the house. And they actually then apologize by saying, oh, look, we're very sorry. Your food seems to be good. It's just not to our taste, liking. And I said, that's perfectly okay. And, I think they went away happy, that they had a good experience. They may not have liked our food, but, and of course, one other result of all this was they actually left me a $20 tip,
Okay.
for this effort of, understanding that they didn't like our food, and we didn't, of course, charge them for it. So
Okay. Now, you've run many businesses. What would you say, besides hospitality, you have done other business also? What would you say is the key to success in any business?
I think the key to success in any business is people, and with those people, your relationships. I think every interaction that you have in your life with anybody, and it could be a positive interaction, it could be a negative interaction, every interaction is a teacher. You know, you learn from the good, and you actually also learn from the bad. In
Probably
fact,
the bad will teach you more.
absolutely. I think, a failure is the best teacher. And it's important to understand that when you fail, you learn from the experience rather than feel low, feel down,
But that would
etc.,
be natural. You
etc.
may feel low and down.
Yeah, but those are momentary. I think the bigger take from the experience should be, so what did I do wrong? How could I improve? How could I do better?
Could you tell me any failure and what you learned? Maybe
In
whichever.
terms of,
Maybe in hospitality, maybe a business you set up which tanked, or maybe a decision you took which went south.
well, as a serial entrepreneur, that has happened many times in my life. Fortunately, my success is 70%. So it's better than my failure rate, which I'm happy with. But yeah, I mean, you can fail for a number of reasons. You can fail because you didn't read the customer right.
Mhm.
You chose the wrong location. You did not offer the right, product mix or menu mix. Uh, so you didn't really do your research. Sometimes, time constraints, money constraints, you just, rush into something, and then of course you live to regret it. So, like the saying is, let me recall, and it's something that stuck with me all my life. So, do something in haste and repent at leisure.
Uh,
So, something to that effect. And that's so true for, all facets of life. Uh,
okay, so now thought we have Indian kids looking to make a career in hospitality.
right,
What would you say is their superpower
right.
over kids in the West?
So,
Something that gives them a cutting edge, because let's say I study in India, I go abroad to work.
yeah.
What's my superpower over the West?
So I think the greatest superpower Indians have is this ability to connect and interact with people. I would say right from the time you're born. You're surrounded by family, friends, you're constantly interacting with people, you're constantly, forming friendships, forming impressions, having good experiences, bad experiences. India is a extremely competitive environment right from school, where they test you at literally every level from standard one. So in this process, you learn a lot.
So you're
You
saying our social skills are very high.
Yes, social skills are high, resilience is high, because
Resilience.
you have to really, it's survival of the fittest. It's a
Hmm.
very competitive world. And so you really have to keep going in order to try and succeed in this very competitive environment. And so to me, that's your superpower, because I think children are sheltered in the West. They don't interact so much. It's more individual versus family, friends in
Hmm.
the West. And so the interactions are limited, whereas here we are interacting non-stop. And again, hospitality is about people and
Hmm.
about communication and interaction. So that's our superpower.
And the resilience.
And the resilience, yes.
What could be a reason, like this is the superpower, what could be, let's say, your kryptonite, your weakness
Right.
as an Indian in going abroad?
So the weakness is, many times when we uproot ourselves from our environment, which is India, we used to life a certain way. When we go to the West, we have to adapt to their standards and
Their lifestyle.
their lifestyle and their way of doing things, which is where we falter a lot of the times, because we think that just because we've grown up in this environment, this is how it's going to be. We've learned certain habits,
Hmm.
we've learned certain survival skills, which for the most part are not applicable when we transition into a Western world or any career abroad. Their service standards, their interaction standards, their limits to communication are totally different.
Hmm.
So we have to first unlearn what we've learned here
Hmm.
and then learn or relearn their practices and adapt to it. And the learning curve is often very steep,
Hmm.
because we don't really get a lot of training when we are
Cultural
making this.
sensitization.
Yes, it's cultural sensitization, it's soft skills, communication skills, it's even hard skills of practicing certain processes.
Hmm.
In India, hospitality standards and accountability for hospitality is not that strong. It's a lot of people just let it go.
The 19 bis.
The 19 20, or the chalta hai attitude, as we say. uh, Abroad में नहीं चलता है. It's a set service standard and you need to match up to that expectation.
So that's one more thing that I've this. In India, we don't follow systems. Us SOPs, as we call it, standard operating procedures, tend to be a bit weak. Are they really strong in the West?
So the SOPs are the same everywhere. Hospitality is pretty much same
Hmm.
everywhere. It's the enforcement of those standards. It's the training to uphold those standards. It's the monitoring of those standards, and it's the accountability of those standards, which is missing in India,
Okay,
which
so
are
you're saying we
enforced
have
in the
the
West.
SOPs in both the places. One place
Yes.
it's followed and
Yeah.
rigorously followed.
Yes.
In the other
Correct.
place, it's taken for granted.
Correct. And here there's more room for, sort of escaping sort of punishment, whereas in
Jugaad.
abroad, yeah, jugaad, but abroad it's very black and white. You have a certain standard, they'll give you training, you need to follow it, and there is no room for error there. So, yeah.
Uh, Study in India, work abroad, study abroad, work abroad.
right?
Which one's better?
So the simple answer to this question is if you want a long-term settlement career abroad, and you've decided you want to leave India and you want to really settle in another country, study abroad, because when they teach you their standards,
Okay.
and then work abroad. When you study in India and you work abroad, there's a huge gap. What you study in India is often not applicable to the standards abroad,
Okay.
even though the basic
Got
SOPs
you.
may be the same. So,
What about studying abroad
right,
and coming back to India?
right. So this is a new trend which I've noticed. A lot of people in the West who have studied abroad, they want to come to Asia, not just India, but they want to come to Asia.
You're talking about non-Indians?
Non-Indians. I'm
Okay.
talking of non-Indians. So there's a big attraction for them to come to Asia, because Asia offers them culture, Asia offers them experiences, Asia offers them, hospitality, food choices. So it's a big draw for a lot of young people, especially
Oh, that's
in the
interesting.
West, that want to come to countries like India, even China or Singapore or Hong Kong, and experience Asia's culture, Asia's food options. And of course they realize very quickly that hospitality in Asia is very demanding. Hospitality abroad, the guests are not as demanding as they are here in Asia. So
Do you think the Western world will is moving towards being more demanding? And on the other side, do you think India is moving to ever going to be less demanding?
uh, so the West, I don't think is going to be more demanding.
They're not going to be.
No, they're not going to be, because their expectations are different from the expectations in India. And that's just their culture, their lifestyle, their upbringing. They're not used to, going and demanding a lot of things.
Okay.
Yes, if you mess up, then they would expect you to correct, those mistakes. But by themselves, they would not, be demanding, or as demanding as people are here. So that's one part of the question. The other part you mentioned about,
Will
uh,
we be less demanding?
yeah,
India.
so I don't think we will be less demanding, just because our population is growing, it's becoming more competitive, and the minute you are faced with competitiveness, the demand, the pressures, they just come in. So
Okay, so I have a thought that the skill set that we pick up in hospitality, whether it is people skills, resilience, which you also need in hospitality, uh, the ability to read people,
right,
uh, this skill set, in which other industries do you think it would be applicable? Say I am in hospitality, I'd like to move out.
right.
So which industries could I move to?
So I think people skills are applicable in all industries. If you have great people skills, which you really have to practice every day in hospitality, those people skills can really help you when you transition to other industries, especially those industries which still require a lot of interaction with people. So whether it's customer service related, or whether it's public relations related, or whether it's just dealing with large groups of people, based on what that industry is, these skills are very transferable.
So you have, let's say, let me give you a random thing, like say car manufacturer. Where do you
Right,
see a hospitality person fitting in there?
especially in
In
car
sales.
sales. That's the number one thing. So yes, if you transition into being a car salesman, especially in a car showroom, then all your hospitality skills come into
Okay,
play.
let me give you a googly. Let's say you move into banking and financial, but not in sales. Where else could you fit in?
Okay. So even in banking, you are interacting with people, you are interacting with your customers. And I think all aspects of banking require,
A
great
personal
soft
touch.
skills, require great communication skills. And of course, they require that personal touch, which is something your hospitality training, gives you from day one. So,
So essentially, what we are saying is, I mean, I'm a big fan of hospitality. You know that.
right,
Um, we could move literally from hospitality to anywhere, any industry.
Absolutely.
Can you think of any industry where we would a hospitality person could not fit in? And
Well,
that's I mean, it's not rhetoric. I mean, I don't want it to be. It fits in everywhere. If you could actually, put your mind to it and say, okay,
yeah.
here is where I think maybe it won't fit in.
Yeah, so it definitely does not fit in into some of the natural resources industries. So whether it's mining, whether it's fisheries, whether it's agriculture, in all these industries, you're not dealing with a lot of people, and you just have to execute. You need a different set of skills, and of course, you need to have the ability to work in isolation because most of these natural resource industries,
Oh, they are
uh,
exactly opposite of being in
exact
with
opposite.
people.
Yes, correct. So you won't really get to use many of your skills there.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay, so what are the opportunities, Rajula, for people if they get into hospitality? Let's say in UK, Canada, the West. What job profiles could they look at? What industry could they look at?
So in hospitality, there is a huge demand for two careers. One is in the kitchen. The
Chefs.
West is facing an acute shortage of skilled cooks,
Okay,
not necessarily chefs, cooks.
got it.
They could be line cooks, they could be, station cooks, experts in salads, barbecue, grills, sauces, but skills in cooking. That's a huge, huge demand, and it guarantees you a career for life, uh, regardless of which country you go to, because that profession is in huge demand and in short supply. So,
Okay.
cooks is a great career.
So
The
demand is high and supply is low.
Correct, very low. Just to give an example, in Canada, there is a shortage of 50,000 cooks.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not. These are actual numbers taken out by all the hospitality associations, by the restaurant associations, from Canada, that they need 50,000 cooks
After all the cooks we've sent from
after
India.
all the cooks we've sent from India. Absolutely. They're still short on 50,000 cooks. And the other career, which is in very high demand and again in very short supply, is housekeeping. As some of you that may be already in housekeeping know, it's a physically demanding job.
Very
You're
true.
given a very limited amount of time where you have to go into a room, clean up somebody else's mess, tidy up, get the room back to the standard that the hotel or the brand
Organi-
demands, in that 20 minutes. And like some of you may know, changing bed sheets sounds very easy, but is very hard work. Lifting those
the mattress.
mattresses, putting in those covers, and of course that involves cleaning toilets, changing bins, cleaning other people's mess, which a lot of Westerners don't want to do. And so, huge demand for housekeepers.
So
So,
housekeepers and
and
chefs,
chefs, or cooks rather,
cooks.
are the two big in demand professions in hospitality.
Great. And what would their salary be, if that's a valid question?
So salaries depend upon which part of the world you're in. If you're in Europe and if you're in North America, the average salary is, if I were to translate this in Indian rupees, should be round about 1,000 rupees an hour. Okay, and you can
A
divide.
thousand an hour.
1,000 an hour, yes, at the very minimum. Europe, North America, that would be it. It may sound a lot, but when you convert it into dollars, it's anywhere between 14 to $20 an hour, US currency, Canadian currency, European euro,
Mhm.
but the ballpark is about 1,000 rupees an hour.
And you would get enough hours.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a high
40 hours.
demand. Well, by law, it's not 40 hours. You can actually work longer, but labor laws are strictly enforced in the West. So, 40 hours is what your typical day is. So, 5 days a week,
8 hours a
eight
day.
hours a day, 2 days off in a week. Typically, now, some of you can work longer hours voluntarily, but then, based on which country you're in, the employer has to pay you more than your
The
hourly wage. sometimes time and a half to compensate for that extra work that they're giving you. So,
which is even better.
which is even better. Yes, yes, correct.
Great. Let's. I mean, we've had a great conversation, and we could probably wind up. Uh, let's say you have a younger Rajula coming to you for advice,
Okay,
and he's facing a dilemma: should I be entering hospitality? Should I not?
okay,
Rajula is advising a younger Rajula with this
right,
dilemma: enter hospitality, don't enter hospitality. I'll give you a background. There's a lot of, I think, myth surrounding the fact that hospitality jobs are tough, late night shifts itself, no off days, at least not on weekends. Work during vacations when other people are on vacations and holidays or celebrating festivals, you are working. So this younger Rajula is telling you, listen, I know all this. Why should I enter hospitality?
right.
And convince him.
So everything that you just mentioned are 100% true. Um, you have to work very hard, long hours. You have to sacrifice. People are celebrating New Year's Eve, you're working, you're serving. And the same goes with any major event. Somebody is having a great concert and you are providing the hospitality. Well, you have to work while they sing and dance. So yes, it involves a lot of sacrifice. So the only reason you should choose a career in hospitality is if you really love people and you love interacting with people, and that really gives you a great high when you're doing it. And there are some personalities which are people's people, they love meeting people, they love talking to people. And when you do that and you actually enjoy doing it, you don't see the negative side of it. You don't mind the long hours. You don't
It's
mind
not a
because
sacrifice.
yes, it's not a sacrifice, because actually if you see, there's a flip side to it. The most happening concerts, the most happening New Year's Eve parties, well, guess what? You have a free ticket to them. You're in there, right? Well, everybody's clamoring outside, paying, lots and lots of money to get in. You've got a free all access pass. So that there's a flip side to it. The most happening concerts, the most happening New Year's Eve parties, well, guess what? You have a free ticket to them. You're in there, right? Well, everybody's clamoring outside, paying, lots and lots of money to get in. You've got a free all access pass. So that there's a flip side to it. The most happening concerts, the most happening New Year's Eve parties, well, guess what? You have a free ticket to them. You're in there, right? Well, everybody's clamoring outside, paying, lots and lots of money to get in. You've got a free all access pass. So that there's a flip side to it. The most happening concerts, the most happening New Year's Eve parties, well, guess what? You have a free ticket to them. You're in there, right? Well, everybody's clamoring outside, paying, lots and lots of money to get in. You've got a free all access pass. So that gives you an opportunity to be exposed to it, to enjoy at least parts of it, when you're pausing or having breaks. So there are those benefits, as I would call them. But again, the core of your decision to be in hospitality or not
This is the
should be
passion.
solely based on your passion for people, and enjoying, being around them and communicating with them.
So great. Thank you so much, Rajula. We've had an
Pleasure.
excellent conversation with Rajula. I love the takeaways. My own takeaway, honestly, has been the idea of if you're passionate about it, work ceases to be work. It's
Yes,
you're enjoying yourself,
correct.
and a great reason to be there. Also, thank you for all the tips on if we study here and go abroad. So great going. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
God bless. Keep rocking, and you guys don't forget to roar.
Absolutely.